This is WeBurlesque.
Hi, I'm Dana Deer.
Hi, this is Ivy Fairy.
This is Bo Briefs.
Hi, this is Professor M.
Hello there, y'all. This is Obscura Fox, the unseelie queer of Scarousal. This is We Burlesque, Season 10.
Get right into it. Fabulous, fabulous. This is WeBurlesque, the podcast, and I'm your host, Viktor Devonne. And through the miracle of fiber optics, I get to talk to nightlife individuals in the field of drag, cabaret, and burlesque. And we here, very excited to say, we have the Cosplay Club President, Silver Tusk Award winner, 2025, Maki Roll. Hello, hello.
It is me. Hello.
A pleasure. Where am I dialing in from? You're in DC, right?
Yes, I am in Washington, D.C. right
What is
now.
what is that like? Because it seems like it might be a snake pit.
Um, it is, I will say that it is very different, than any time ever I have experienced the DC metro area. It is, especially in the past year, it has been very strange to be under occupancy.
Hmm.
Um, it's been a little strange, but my city is strong, and I have reveled in seeing the many ways in which we have come together to say fuck ICE and fuck
Yeah,
this regime.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Have you always been in the DC area?
Yes, I have actually lived outside of DC. I lived in the suburbs of Maryland,
Hmm.
but DC has always been the place that I've gone for fun. It has always been where a lot of my family lives, a lot of my friends live. Just the DC metro area has always been very important to me. I've never left. I love it because you are a stone's throw away from all the other really cool places from New York City, from Philly, from Jersey. And then if you want to go further down south, you can go to the Carolinas. So I I've always been a DC girly, and I probably will always be.
Yeah, I haven't been in DC in a while. We would go fairly regularly when I was a child. I had a grandfather who lived in College Park, Maryland, so it was right
Okay,
there.
yes.
And so I distinctly recall going through, I guess, sort of the tour of colonial history of uh of the monuments and just sort of being given a sense of awe. It was just everything was so big. Like I know I was much smaller then too, but I just distinctly remember everything being so giant, and then moving into like I think possibly because it was everything sort of in my view it was sort of spread out as opposed to things being very tall in Philadelphia or New York, but it's a little tighter. So
Hmm.
you don't see, unless you actually can see New York better from New Jersey than you can from most of New York. But yeah, it's been a minute. Obviously we have some fabulous folks who come out of DC who travel the world. What is DC burlesque like?
Um, that is a very, very, very interesting question.
Uh,
Um, I think DC right now is kind of going through a transitional moment.
hmm,
I think there are different subsections of DC that do different things. I
hmm,
think we have our nerd subsection of people who do the nerdlesque thing, and then we have We have sort of the classic. We don't have a lot of classic
Hmm.
um, burlesque here. Um, and you would likely find the classic more in live shows or some of our residencies like Monarch in Baltimore. But for the most part, DC proper, we're weird. We're very weird.
The art kids, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
um and sometimes it is hard to be that in such a capitalistic place, where everybody's very button up.
Mm.
So sometimes it can feel a little stifling trying to get things off the ground here,
Hmm.
versus, let's say, a Baltimore where the art infrastructure is more nurturing for DIY.
Hmm.
Here it's a little bit harder because every venue wants a cut. Every venue is out for their own thing. So it is it is I would say that, like I said before, DC is very strong. We are very mighty. But it is hard sometimes.
Hmm. Well, you found yourself sort of, I wouldn't say typecast, but self-niched, created because you are known as a cosplayer and a nerdlesker. I'm going to ask you a very loaded question. What do you think the difference is between cosplay and nerdlesk?
Ooh. The difference between cosplay and nerdlesque is oh man, that is a very loaded question. I would say the main difference between cosplay and nerdlesque is that one, you are creating a costume to stay on your body,
There you
and
go.
therefore the costumes are they are more fortified because you are walking for hours and hours and hours in them. Whereas in burlesque, you are in this costume for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Hmm.
Um, so it is different construction wise, costume construction wise. But also, I think in the presentation of a character in Nerdlesque versus cosplay. In Nerdlesque, I feel you get more of the opportunity to delve more into the fandom verse.
Hmm.
Versus cosplay, where 9 times out of 10, not all the time, but you are cosplaying to portray that character outright. Whereas in Nerdless, you could be portraying. I'm going to use one of my early ones for as an example, Boba Fett on his day off. And,
Mm.
so you could be unpacking what that looks like. Or what is another one that I have seen? Magic the Gathering. Whereas there are characters that you could portray from Magic. In Nerdlesque, you could portray the actual game of Magic the Gathering.
Hmm.
I feel both of them give a freedom of expression. Nerdlesque just gives, I think it leans more into that masquerade aspect of it, where you can
Hmm.
really put yourself more into it,
Hmm.
and your you can imprint your own personal fandom connection into what you are putting on stage.
Hmm. Yeah, when I've seen, because obviously I've was introduced through a lot of my nerd lesson cosplay through the icon that is Halloween and the associates therefore, and I learned a lot about the personal connection that a lot of cosplay brings on. It's I want to I that like something is connected with that character or with that attire that speaks to you. And in Nerdlesque or in a burlesque production where you're wearing that an attire either inspired by or very directly replicating, there's a fan service aspect that you're giving that to other people. So one is almost more for you and what is more for others, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that it's it's a very personal decision because a lot of that, I mean, essentially I did cosplay through Rocky Horror for years, not knowing that that's essentially what it was. We used to say screen accuracy, like it was, well, some people said it was a bad, like it was a bad word. But that was a big thing too. Like I didn't really think about it at the time, but there was debate and discussion about interpretation and things like that when we're dancing in front of the movie screen. And that's got to be such like a microcosm compared to what it's like going to a cosplay with a bunch of geeks who all can see and say, well, that button's on the wrong side.
Yeah. Yes. But I will say, in cosplay, I would say more so when I first started cosplay, I'm aging myself here, but when I first started cosplay back in 2008, 2009, there was still very much that that personal fandom connection over everything, over even accuracy, I would say, because at that time, we only had one or two places where you could get cosplay wigs from, where you could go. There weren't like a million patterns that were specifically tailored to cosplay. So we would have to go to Joann's, rip in peace.
Yeah.
Um, we would have to go to Joann's and get the Halloween costumes and modify them and make them into our cosplays.
Mm.
But in that, there was that like sense of community that was forged through a bunch of nerds speaking the same language, wearing these costumes in all levels of what am I trying to say? Um, Not importance, um, but just of all levels of skill.
Oh, sure, sure.
Yes, and just having everyone feel welcomed, everyone
Mm.
feel embraced. Um, I feel like some of the purest forms of cosplay culture can be implemented in Nerdlesque, in that shared fan culture, in that aspect of we are all together, we are on a plane where we speak the basic language of nerd, and we
Mm.
are just waiting for our dialect to come up so that we could be like, yes, I know that thing. Which is one of the things that I love the most about Nerdlesque.
Do you think that while they happened around the same time, so one couldn't necessarily ruin the other, but does the internet kind of take some of the fun out of cosplay? Because that's probably where most of the criticism and the bastards come from.
The internet takes a lot of fun out of everything. um, but yes, with the rise of cosplay virality, which happened on the internet, with uh certain, cosplay famous people, influencers, etc.,
Mm.
there did become sort of this separate um between the people who came into it on the we are looking for fandom, we are looking for community, and the people who come into it on the I'm trying to either become cause famous or I'm trying to parlay this into something else, which
Mm.
many people have done. But in turn, it turned it turned cosplay into something different. And that different isn't necessarily bad, but in many ways it has been, with the harassment, with bullying. Most recently, there was a cosplayer who took their own life. And there was a lot of discourse around that. And a lot of it was bad, self-serving discourse, with people content farming. And it gets to the point where and I believe this with everything, not just cosplay, where I truly believe that in the evolution of social media and the internet, we are losing our humanity just a bit.
Yes. Well, now we also are contending with things like AI and
Yeah.
deep fakes, and it's it's creating I don't know. I don't know if it's creating. Maybe it's just revealing. Maybe that's. I mean, I'd hate. I don't know if it's a nature versus nurture situation, but I can't. There's a part of me that doesn't want to think that we're all capable of being that terrible without motivation. Without without a gas leak, sort of letting us become
Yeah.
that. But and I talk about this a lot on the pod about how burlesque is one of like the last vestiges that doesn't really have like a lot of outside influence on us. All of the calls are still coming from inside the house. And that's what the plus and a minus. It certainly limits our uh, it limits who our audience is, because burlesque is still it's not underground. I mean, can it really be underground if you're seeing it at like the level at certain levels? But it certainly isn't celebrated or
Yeah.
acknowledged in major ways. It's still kind of dirty. And that's fun. Dirty is fun.
Dirty is
There's
fun.
something to be said about not going mainstream, because then mainstream fucks things up. And I get that. I get that. I get that. But since burlesque is that intersection between art and entertainment, and we live in a material world, sometimes you got to be a material girl.
Yeah.
And so it's difficult, because then we also want to show more. And I mean, and certainly we see that with drag, where people are saying, well, I would have done this on the runway, or, oh, well, this person's an asshole because I saw them in a TV show for 45 minutes, highly edited, so therefore that must be everything who they are. We don't really have that in burlesque.
Yeah.
So certainly you have that to a degree in the cosplay community, because you're dealing with a lot of still photos being critiqued on 4chan and Reddit and whatever other cesspools, and therefore becoming sort of icons of cringe culture, as it were, as well, by sheer virtue of just being someone who is enjoying themselves. And
Yeah.
that's just it's such a perversion of really what the fun is supposed to be, isn't it?
I agree.
Yeah.
As someone who got posted frequently on 4chan, um,
Mm.
for burlesque specifically,
Oh, okay.
it's not in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, could it possibly be? I think that was implied. That is not a celebratory venue. Yeah.
Yes, that is everything that you're saying is correct in a way. Um, it is sort of this want for burlesque to be seen as like a legitimate art form, or as a viable and equitable art form, but also seeing what that has done to every other art form and everything else. Um, I'm a big wrestling girly, so to see even how the WWE has gone
Mm.
from this kind of like family friendly type of thing to like this corporate monster um is kind of gross. And it's not something that I want for burlesque ever. Um but uh yeah, to see it kind of exist in the spaces that it does exist, and to see how um it is kind of critiqued by the outside looking in, um it does make me realize that there are so many people who still do not know what we do, or who still have a fundamental misunderstanding of what the world of burlesque is and looks like.
Mm.
Um, and sometimes that's because of us.
Mm. Well, yes. I mean, if we are going to be so insular and so frankly self-referential in everything that we do, everything is it becomes Vega book by default because no one knows what the fuck we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
already is fake booking. It's not just other people in the scene who don't know what we're talking about. It's everybody who doesn't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as someone who does work within so many of these different realms, what do you still get out of dressing up? I mean, you said you're dyed in the wool, so how long you've been doing this for a significant amount of time. What is still satisfying about that?
Um, I'm gonna be real with you, Victor. I still love meeting people. I still love
Hmm.
connecting with people. I am still that girly that will go to a convention and freak out if I see somebody that is dressed the same as me, or if I see somebody that is in something that I really love.
Hmm.
So even when we do the convention tours with the Nerdlesque Festival, one of my greatest joys is doing our workshops, being at our booths, being able to connect with people, especially Black and Brown girls
Hmm.
who come up to our table, and they don't even half of the time they don't know what Nerdlesque is, but they see us at the table, and to them even now it is very you're hard pressed to go to a convention and see um Black cosplayers platformed and as
Hmm.
guests. So one of the things that I do love is kind of being that um that person to anyone, but also mostly to myself. Um, is being that person who still finds joy in this community that has changed so much. It is something that if I need a break from burlesque, I can always go back to cosplay because it's nothing to just put on my costume and take some pictures. Um, or to just go to a local convention. And I've reveled lately in going to smaller conventions and library conventions because I I feel what I felt in 2008, 2009. The kids who were just starting cosplay, who still have light in their eyes and wonder in their spirits about it. I
They've not
love
yet been
that.
broken.
Yes, that. And I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So it is the community for me.
You recently have participated in the International Nerdlesque Festival. Was that what it was? What was the in September?
I am the owner and the curator of the International Nerdlesque Festival. Um, So yes, that happened last September. It was the first time that we brought it back in full in DC. Um, and that was very, very special. It actually was during the first weeks of ICE occupancy in DC.
Fun.
So there was a lot that kind of went into that week. A lot of
Mhm.
uncertainty, but a lot of kind of like that feeling of at the end of the day, we have our community and we have this like little sparkly these sparkly nerds that we have to nurture and care for and make sure that they have a great time.
Hmm.
And they did. And it was wonderful. Um, it is always my greatest joy to be able to wrangle a bunch of nerds that are passionate about um, the fandoms that they are passionate about, but also just passionate about burlesque and being together with people.
Hmm.
So Yeah, the festival has been very rewarding, very eye-opening in many ways as well.
Well, it's another situation where since it's not just self-fulfillment, it's also for an audience, you also have to adjudicate. You probably have a team of folks that say, okay, this is how many slots we have. Who do we bring in? What representation do we have? Do we really want to open the door open for this type of act? There's a lot of nuances to perhaps to this act that the audience might, there's a lot going on. And fandom is both so personal and yet so um not yours to control. People have very visceral responses to
Yeah.
media and media on top of media. So then you worry about song choice. Okay, is that artist problematic? Okay, is that creator problematic? Are we at a point where we can reclaim the Whedonverse? What do we do? Like it's a lot of stuff. I mean, and it's not new. There's been discussion about this since H.P. Lovecraft. I mean,
Yep.
we have, and frankly, before then. I mean, if you want to get, I mean, if any biblical pageant,
Yeah.
certainly. So it gets so difficult, I would imagine, to sort of say, okay, and then we want to make sure that, the Trekkies are happy because we have this. Okay, well, do we do a Tina Belcher because there's discussion about underage representation? Where does your mind fall on that kind of thing? On adjudicating and deciding how do you know what to prioritize?
Ah! That's a great question. Um,
It's very simple too, I know.
I
It's three words.
um First of all, we do have a team. We have a lovely team, and one of the things that was important to me in Nerdlesque is to not only have a team that is representative of burlesque, but of fandom and cosplay as well. So we have people on our team who are comic book artists and who have done work in the comic book industry. We also have people who have won awards in cosplay and have done the masquerade scene. Pretty prominently, um, just so we can have kind of like um, that kind of well-rounded team of people who can give fair critique. Because as you know, in producing, you run into you know, wanting to hire your friends, wanting to, or possibly not wanting to work with somebody because of personal beef.
Sure,
And as a as an entity, all of that has to be taken off of the table.
sure.
Um, and so with the curation of the Nerdlesque Festival in general, we try to, I don't want to say we try because it is it's very difficult to know what we're going to get in a single year, right? So there could be an abundance of Star Trek, an abundance of Star Wars. We get so much Star Trek, so much Star Wars. Um, to the point where we try to encourage people to submit with things that may not be so much nerd candy or nerd catnip, as it were,
Hmm.
so that we do get this wide range of fandom. Whereas you do get the big things, but you also get those little nuggets of um, fandom where you didn't know that you were going to get Conehead or something like that. So one of the things that is a long standing I think conversation in Nerdlesque is the conversation of characters that are canonically adult or not. Um I I myself have performed as characters that were not adult that um I would not anymore. I think that it is it is up to the producer. Um, for the festival, we try to stay on the road of characters that are adult, especially if a character is presented in like high school or something like that. Um, we try to stay away from those characters, but otherwise, um, Nerdlesque is a vast representation, and
Mhm.
so we don't try to limit in the way that people express fandom. Um, for example, Taz Al Ghul last year did their Jin act, and that is folklore
Mhm.
and folklore and um cultural connection is also nerdlesque. It is also something you can be a fan of your culture.
Mhm.
So just really having that wide range of representation of what nerdlesque is important to me versus a do we have do we have an Uhura? Do we have a Darth Vader? Do we have a Daenerys?
Are we checking all these boxes, making sure?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey, this is Viktor Devonne, and I would really like to thank the Patreon people. So, thank you, Patreon people. You make my dreams come true. Stormageddon, Bo, Alex, Joyce, Sebastian, Oliver, Curly Bright, Shini, Tiffany, Faye, Oxy, Goosey Gander, Luna, Charlotte, Dottie, Clara, and to Courtney. Goodness gracious. Thank you so much. I don't know, frankly, what else to do with the Patreon. So, if you tell me things that you would like to see on it, whether it's just me talking, if it's some exclusives, if it's chatter of some variety, I would be absolutely delighted to contend with that. It just needs to be digested. So you can find me at WeBurlesque@gmail.com and you can let me know, or you can comment on the Patreon itself. Y'all are great, and I love you. And thanks for spending money on me.
Well, you mentioned incorporating folklore, and yeah, I mean that's the thing is that Nerdlesque doesn't have to be I'll use the word limited to things that have been on TV or things that have been in comic books. I mean, literary figures. I've seen such wonderful depictions uh, of almost like tall tales or just the existence of media. My digital get down, my laptop act has been accepted in Nerdlusk shows because it's a fan of the 90s, I guess. I didn't question it. I got the gig. So
Yeah.
but when it was suggested to me, I was like, okay, sure, why not? And it's such a fascinating opportunity to showcase so many different variances on the theme because again, are we just going to see a bunch of slave Leias? And also, what does that mean when does that limit our experiences when we just think of slave Leia when there's so many even parts of Leia Organa to work with?
Yes.
Why that one? Why did we go to that one? What are we trying to say with that one? Do we just feel hot in a metal bikini? Or a Warbler bikini in that case. I mean, if you want to go with the metal, by all means. And how are you subverting that? And how are you like because you're also dealing with homage, and
Yeah.
we again, as we said, uh, this is very personal, that intersection between cosplay and nerdlesque. We are taking on characters that mean a lot to us, but then also making them interesting, seeing why we are working with those figures. Um, what are we trying to say? And that
Yeah.
I assume would be very sort of hard to argue when it is that personal. Just like, yeah, but that's still valid. That's yours. I just don't want it in my show. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
It's hard. It's
It
very
is.
um yeah, it's very, very difficult because it is everything that you said. It is deeply personal. It is also the fandom is subjective. It is whatever it means to you. So the way that portray a character or anything, any part of a fandom could not could be triggering, frankly, for someone else.
Sure.
Or you know, doesn't meld or mesh with the way that another person sees the fandom. So and when it gets to producing, that is also a thing, and I like to tell Nerdlesque producers that you got to take off your fandom cap, because your fandom cap will inevitably color the way that you produce and that you curate, and sometimes it will start to look like a bunch of shit that you like. Um, versus a full representation of what um, Nerdlesque and fandom can be. Um, for example, I do not connect with Has Been Hotel at all. However, there are I produced a show in Twin Cities, and two performers, Avocado and Lychee Minx, both had phenomenal has
I've
been,
worked with Lychee. Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, phenomenal has been acts, and I was like, oh, I have to book this.
Hmm.
I have to. There's no question. And even though it doesn't resonate with me as a person who is in the fandom, I still find joy in watching these acts because they are phenomenal pieces of work.
Hmm.
I can tell that they are very, very passionate about the fandom that they have chosen. And you can see that the audience has
Hmm.
a very visceral response. And to me as a producer, that trumps everything. That trumps my fandom cap. That trumps everything, is to see the audience and the performer having that connection. Um, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes we forget that because we do get in our own heads and it's about the art and it's me. And it's true. It's y'all. It's us. It's me. But it's also an entire audience who has to give a fuck because they bought tickets and they want to see it and they're going to come in with their own expectations as well. So if they have a specific Catwoman that they want to see, well, if you don't give them that version, they might be like, well, I really would have rather had the purple suit personally. But you didn't get it, sorry. Like, oh, you wanted oh, well, I don't understand. Like, I mean, this probably gets into when people ship as well, because shipping is very divisive
Yeah.
when it comes to if you're a Spike in Buffy or a Angel in Buffy. I don't know why we do this to ourselves. Uh, and so you're sort of treating these 4.5 minute acts as sort of like almost um propaganda. Like you're saying like
Yeah.
this is everything you need to know about this character for 4.5 minutes that when they had like 11 seasons to work with. That's a lot to put in there. And you don't want to kitchen sink it. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to throw in some things that the audience will find like, oh, that's cute. Or oh, I get that. But you don't want like it wouldn't necessarily make sense for high school Buffy to do something that, season 6 Buffy would do. Um, or would it? How do we like what's the narrative? Are we going through time? Like what's the like
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's a lot. So
Um, yes, the storytelling aspect is. I'm glad that you brought up the kitchen sink of it all,
sure.
because I think in Nerdlesque there is that want to tell the entire story of a character or of a fandom, and like you said, we got 4.5 minutes, maybe five. Um, that's not enough time to do all that.
Mhm.
And so
And strip.
picking. Yes, and also we're taking off our clothes. Um, so like finding the little nuggets of a character or a fandom that resonate with you most and building off of maybe two or three parts of that really helps to par down your story and to keep it simple, to keep you from having a million props, frankly, um, and to just make sure that you are feeling confident and also the audience is watching you with confidence and awe and stars in your eyes. I feel like they're going to do that anyway, but there is an extra to it all when you're not like rushing around the stage and like looking for like the 20th prop and like pulling up things, and then by the end of the act your bra is still on.
Well, what fandoms most resonate with you, either that you started with or nowadays? What when you're creating or even just enjoying, what are you finding is that through line since 20 whenever to now, or that you're digging now?
Yeah. Well, I always say my number one and my kind of gateway to all things nerdy was Dragon Ball Z.
Mm.
That was the thing that I watched with my mom every day after school. That was the gateway to anime, which was the gateway to cosplay, which was the gateway to conventions.
Mm.
Um, and through that, Cowboy Bebop has always been one of my favorite animes, one of the anime that I reference as one of the greatest of all time. Um, it is one of my signature performances as Faye Valentine. Um, Even when I perform at the fancy schmancy places, I will throw in a jazz number from Yoko Kanno and the Seatbelts, and nobody knows that it's from anime. Um, so these days, I am really into I've been rediscovering shonen anime, so your My Hero Academias, your Jujutsu Kaisens, Demon Slayers. So all of the this boy's journey to be the very best insert here. I've been rediscovering just because they're long things that you can kind of just watch over a span of time. And I didn't used to be a person who was into like the long form anime like that. Um, a fandom that I could talk endlessly about is Game of Thrones. Um, I am a Game of Thrones girly, so I can talk extensively about that. And
How did you feel about the last season?
the last season of Game of Thrones,
Yes. Audience at home, there is some adjustment to the face of how to handle this question.
looking back on it, I can see how they got there.
Mm.
I wish there was more time for them getting there.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah.
Um, I because I go back and I watch Game of Thrones at least once a year. Um,
Fully.
yes,
Wow. Okay.
it's a choice. It's a choice. Um, so the more that I watch, the more that I can see that it was kind of there that Danny was going to be that. However, I feel once they got into those final seasons and when the what were they? Benioff and whatever the other one's name was, um, once they decided that they were going to do their revisionist history of like World War II or some shit, they, I feel like they kind of speed ran what should have been maybe two more seasons of this slow unraveling of Danny. Um,
I don't remember.
so
Was that
it,
executive meddling? Did HBO want to end it? I don't remember.
um, I I feel it was something in that realm because I feel like the two they were working on this thing called Confederacy. And
Hmm.
it was like, what if the Confederates won? And everyone was like, nobody wants that. And so it didn't air, but at that point they were already in it. So they had already made the decision, I think, to par down Game of Thrones, and we
I
all
do remember I
suffered.
do remember Confederacy as a blip. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
we all suffered.
Is Game of Thrones sacred ground where you don't represent it in your cosplay or burlesque, or is it do you celebrate it within your work?
Um, Not lately, but um, in the early days of me doing burlesque and me wanting to do everything, I did a Game of Thrones show in which I was Khal Drogo.
Look at you. And for our uninitiated, that is Momoa, right?
Yes, that is Jason Momoa. That is Daenerys's first boo in Game
Controversial
of Thrones.
figure.
Very controversial.
While we're talking
Um,
about problematic potential media and triggering.
yes,
Hmm.
very,
Yeah.
very controversial. I will say that show did happen in the like 2012, 2013s. So very emblematic of its time. Um, Looking back on it, I still think it's a great, really good show. Shout out to
Sure.
Liberty Rose, aka Lindsay Noel. Um, but uh, yeah, I was Khal Drogo.
And the
And
only reason I say complicated, I don't mean that in a oh, how could you? I don't mean that
oh
in
no,
that
no, no,
way.
no.
But as we said, like there's a lot of nuance for an audience's response to that. And there's a lot of discourse about that character, and people feel very passionately about whether or not we should be romanticizing such a
Absolutely.
figure. Hell, we're doing that with Wuthering Heights again. So we do that. Like, it's everything. Everything is everything.
Yes, everything is everything. And that that is definitely one of the ones that I look back on and I'm like, huh, a choice. But
Yeah,
also,
but a choice. But a
um,
choice.
but a choice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But nowadays, would you perhaps not go in for representation of Game of Thrones? Would you hold off on that, or would you
No,
still?
no. I think Game of Thrones has a place in my fandom representation. Um, I don't think I would do Khal Drogo.
Mm,
I think if ever I were to um do something in line with it, I would do a dragon
mm.
or the Night King or something like that. Um, because I'm very disenchanted with the great houses of of Game of Thrones. Um, and more fascinated by the um kind of the outskirts of Game of Thrones and the mythological of it. Um, and Dorne. I like Dorne a lot.
It's one of those. It's fully fictional, but it has pieces of historical fiction to it.
Yeah.
And therefore, there's a lot of argument online about what representation should be, or why is there this, and a lot of it often gets racial, and a lot of it often
Yes.
gets gender, and a lot of it's often actually queer for some reason. I yes, there is some queerness that is, I guess, sort of understood, possibly because it's often treated in sort of a debaucherous kind of way. It's not
Yes.
loving. It's not loving. It's Caligula. It's so
Yeah.
much like, yeah, it's that kind of thing. And as a Black cosplayer, obviously there's representation more that is white centric, or that is more, I mean, also as an anime fan, you're also working with an entire other a continent as well of representation. What is your view of for lack of a better expression, cultural appropriation when it comes to representation of cosplay characters, if that makes sense? When you're representing that as a character, not as a, this is fashion, but as a I'm playing this figure.
Yeah, yeah. I have different opinions on certain subsections of it. Um, I think it depends. It greatly depends on what you are choosing to create and what you are choosing to represent. Um, it also depends on the that culture's kind of response to cultural appropriation or appreciation. Um, like, for example, in Japan, they love when people cosplay. They love to see white people specifically cosplay. They love it. And sometimes it is harder as a black cosplayer um, to kind of get that same love or that same praise. And we could be like completely screen accurate. The only difference is our skin color. And then that's the difference between us being the character and us being the character plus another word attached to it that is derogatory. Um, so um, I think when it comes to that, I believe that's why Black cosplayers are very protective of the characters that we see as ours. So, for example, our Storms, our Black Panthers. Um, yes, a white person or a non-Black person can cosplay these characters, and 9 times out of 10, no one is going to say anything about it.
Mhm.
It's a matter of why are you representing this character? And it could be anything. It could be,
Yeah.
because you really love Black Panther, you really love Storm, as a white person, and that is your right to do that. However, it is a little bit different because there are so little characters that are for us. And
Mhm.
so we are, a lot of times we are cosplaying Asian characters, we're cosplaying white characters. I forget the name of the she's a cosplayer, but she's also a music artist, and she had a viral video, and it was called Hinata Gonna Be Black Today. And Hinata is a character from Naruto who very pale skin, very demure, and this cosplayer was getting a lot of hate
Mhm.
for cosplaying Hinata, and so she made a song that basically was like, Hinata gonna be black today, and so are all these other characters. So in that, I think that that is a way for black cosplayers specifically to kind of buck up against the racism that we, quite frankly, always experience.
Mhm.
Um, and a way for us to kind of claim a piece of cosplay that has been graciously um, kind of given to everyone but us, if that makes sense.
Sure. Just for housekeeping, Afro Cocoa Puffs is the
Yes,
blurred rapper that from South
yes,
Carolina. Uh, I will put that in the footnotes if anybody's curious, uh, so that you can check that out of
yes,
this
yes,
episode.
yes.
Yeah. Well, we've had a few viral experiences when it comes to people not necessarily did they not necessarily did they intend to go viral, but with the impetus of TikTok and Reels and things like that, things travel. And very often it's an opportunity for creators to put things in their own hands, basically, and not let things go out of context,
Yeah.
and then it can get chopped up, and then who knows? I mean, unfortunately, our meme culture is vast and cruel. Have you ever explored going viral in that fashion or making your representation video and for the masses?
Um, I have gone viral a few times for my cosplay. I don't like it.
Mm,
Um, it shows the ugliest part of the internet and fandom culture at times. Um, and being a Black cosplayer, a lot of times when we do go viral, that does kind of create a tornado of, people who are very supportive, who are very kind and very supportive, but you also get um, that tornado of people who are very mean, who are very
yeah.
racist, who are are just going to find a reason to pick apart what you do.
Hmm.
So in 2015, I went viral for one of my big cosplay bills, Senketsu Fashion Week from Kill la Kill. Um, and I got called Kill la N-word. I got called Ryoko N-word Toei, like all like crazy things, very, very crazy things. But at the same time, I'm being acknowledged by, people that I admire, like Stella Chu and things like that. So it's very difficult, on one end to have this praise, but on the other end, just know that, oh, no matter what I do, there's always going to be someone that hates what I do because of the color of my skin. Um, and I do think about that a lot when I post, and when I say things, because I do have a following. I do have people who will listen to what I say, and I do have people who will wait for me to fuck up. So, do I want to go viral? No, I don't. Um, but I do understand the power in virality and having a message spread. Um, but for me, I like being I like being in my little bubble.
Right. Well, curated. I mean, you like having control over who gets to see you and how too, right?
Yeah,
That's
a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. I get it. I get it. I mean, I've never, I mean, I'm sure I've I have friends who have gone not viral. I mean, we're a little loose with that. We're a little loose with break the internet too. But it's a little loose, I think. But it's like one of those things where like when you see something in all caps like liberals are freaking out because I'm like, are they though? Are
Are
they? Are they? You know, the first I've heard of this actually. And so this we're at a very I don't know, we're at 11 at all times. It's just like let's just
yeah,
temper our
come
stuff
down
there.
a little
Just bring
bit.
it down just a little bit. But I'm sure, I mean, I've been criticized online, certainly, for my makeup. There it was really fascinating in the big heyday of my arguing with trolls on Twitter. They just didn't know what I was. So I've been told that I'll never be a man, and I'm told I'll never be a woman, which is almost affirming
Oh,
because they don't know
okay.
what I am. They don't know what I'm trying to do, and it's just so beyond their processing. It's just fascinating to me. Absolutely fascinating to me.
Yeah,
Especially since I'm in fucking clown makeup. But yeah, it's well that also parallels to what I was saying when burlesque stays insular as opposed to it going mainstream.
Yeah.
or going. There is always going to be. We have box office icons who are getting millions and millions of dollars, and that there's since a massive group of folks who have problems with them existing, and it's just the way things are. Um, what is your thought as a consumer of fandoms and someone who not only takes things very um you take it in. You take it in. We all have to a certain degree when corporations tend to either uh, readjust existing media for other representation. A perfect example would be Ariel in the most recent Little Mermaid. There's a lot that happened there, but then again, they also completely dropped the ball with a lot of Tatiana. Sorry, Tiana, Princess Tiana from Princess and the Frog media. What is your thought as a consumer when you see corporates, we'll say try?
Um, I'm gonna be honest, I always have to question what is the reason and
Mm.
how many black people you had in the room making decisions. Um, because uh me, I don't personally have a problem with it. It do what you do. Um, but yes, I do question sometimes like the motive behind some of it. Um, and I'm trying to think of if there is anything recently, like in the recent that I've recently watched or have been a part of that has gone through that kind of like cultural rehaul.
There's a new
Um,
version of The Burbs that has just dropped, which I haven't gotten a chance to see, but the original film is Tom Hanks, who is one of the whitest men we have. And in the new series of The Burbs, it is a black woman. Is it Kiki Palmer? In any event, and so they're readjusting that storyline for all of the baggage that will also bring up as I don't know if you're familiar with The Burbs. It's
no.
basically it's suburbia and something's
Okay.
weird happening in the neighborhood. It's another like suburbia, the underpinnings kind of situation.
Okay.
But you add in people of color, which the film does not have at
Yeah.
all. And suddenly things become nuanced.
Different.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
add things, and sometimes to a degree of like Lovecraft Country, but
Hmm.
or what was them? Was that the series on?
I think
I
so.
think
I
so.
didn't watch that
Um,
one.
there was a lot of folks who sort of said this looks like trauma porn.
Yeah.
Um, so it's not necessarily a. That's the question is who is this also for as well? Is this for white people to also then watch and say, see,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because there was
this is my getting the experience. Yeah.
I yeah, I was gonna say, like, now that you brought up kind of like that, there was this trend, I think, and I would even say it was maybe during the pandemic, so like definitely in the 2020s to like now, where every show had a like racial component to it. And I was like, what is this? Every superhero show had a component where they were like, and now we will teach you about racism. And I was like, gosh, what is going on? I don't need this in every single thing.
Mm,
And it's so heavy handed that, again, I'm like, who is writing this and who are, like you said, who is it for? It,
mm.
it cannot be for us because I'm sitting here confused. Um, and yeah, I think things like that, where they're like, here is your after school special about racism or or queerness. I'm
Yeah,
like, oh, what or why? Um, but also, um,
because they get funding.
when no, you're right, you're right. But
And
when
often Emmys. Like also like that is award bait very frequently too. Yeah. It doesn't always have to
that
be like Green Book and Crash. It could also just be oh,
That's
this
true.
very special episode of Stranger Things. Like they,
That is true. And every single one of them had it. It was
yeah.
like Umbrella Academy, The
Oh, right.
Boys,
Yeah, yeah.
another one. Yeah. Like
Wasn't
they
there
went
was
back and
there wasn't Monster Club or something like that. It was like or it was like culty, but it was again, it was sort of like something's happening in the school that shouldn't be happening. Yeah, but yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But then I also think about the like what you said about kind of like the retcon of it all.
Hmm.
Kind of like going back in these different fandoms. Um, and like figuring out where, you know, black and brown people exist in these realms. And I I think about Star Wars, the latest kind of series of Star Wars movies, and
Hmm.
how they failed the black characters, the I would even say the femme characters, and how it was just a fundamental failing to retcon something that, in my opinion, should like we're in space.
I
We have
know.
aliens and we don't have black people is crazy to me.
But somehow Palpatine has returned.
Oh my God. We're not
Somehow.
even gonna we're not even gonna get into it because Victor,
Yes, we are.
me in that I will never forget me watching that with 100 other people and just the collective come on.
I yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We
But
were
yeah,
we were rooting. We had high expectations, but
yeah. I was like, how do you run a person as sweet and wonderful as John Boyega completely out of a fandom? Crazy to me.
Hey, this is Viktor Devonne, and I like socks. I've always been very open about my appreciation for the fabric that goes on my feet, and I want you to enjoy them too. Please go to footclothes.com, look at the variety of fabulous novelty socks that do not suck, and indulge. You can get 10% off now with the name Viktor Devonne as a promo code. That's VIKTORDEVONNE. Put it all together, no spaces, and enjoy.
Tonight on Murder, She Wrote.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's kind of Piper Laurie and Brenda Vaccaro, but a love child.
Thank goodness.
I want to know her.
Nails. Yeah, where's her series? That's what
He's
I want.
fabulous.
The son is Joaquin Phoenix.
I know, isn't that nuts? And he is an ugly little kid. I'm sorry.
We're just like, hey, remember when this guy was in this obscure Broadway show in 1976?
Right? Look at him in those tight pants. Yum.
Well, because there's not
But
a
we
lot
do
really
get-
going on. It's
yeah.
supposed I mean, unless you're listening to the dialogue, which frankly, audience at home, you can do without us. We're just
Yeah,
learning
do your own
about
work,
some of these
damn it.
backstory. But
Right.
Boswell put her up to it.
Yeah.
And then Trish had to be killed because she realized that Boswell didn't have her interests at heart because Teddy was the inheritor.
Yeah.
Playing her like a fiddle.
Oswald knew it, and Trish just gulped it down like one of those martinis.
And then tossed it onto the lawn.
And then lost her head. Poor Trish.
Trish loses her head. This is Viktor Devonne.
And this is Petra Fried
And this is Tonight.
on Murder, She Wrote.
Blarg. Blarg.
Indeed.
Although I do have to say there was Solo. I liked Solo. I thought Solo was fun.
See, that's the one I
Um,
didn't watch. Maybe I gotta watch it. I don't like Daniel Glover.
He's not in it a lot, Donald Glover, but he's not in
Or
it. He's not
Donald,
in it.
Donald.
Yeah.
Yes, that one.
He's not. He's not in it a whole lot, but he is. I liked him. I liked him in it. But
Okay.
I liked the gist of Solo. Um, I did not see Rogue One. I'm very hit
I
or
didn't
miss.
watch that one.
When I was little, I wanted to live in Jabba's palace because I didn't quite understand the problematic nature of that. But it was basically, it was like hanging with the Muppets or, but gangsters. And I was really into like Dick Tracy
Yeah.
and Noir. And so the idea of being in like a gangster's den, I wanted to be a mall. You know what? That was my I wanted to be Breathless Mahoney. Let's do it. And that was sort of like the space age version of that. And I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people say it's a lot of it's like the dark version of the cantina. Also fun. Who doesn't love a little little nightclub moment? And so there's a lot of personal affection that I have for the Max Rebo band and Yarna and Ula and the dancers. And I wasn't even that mad about the whole Jedi Rocks thing and the special editions. You know what? Give me some more Twi'leks. I'll get by. I was glad to see Femi Taylor get the work. Um,
I've always wanted to do a Twilight cosplay.
you gotta. I've seen some exquisite Twi'lek, and I've seen some. You tried Twi'lek.
Yeah.
Yeah. Renaissance Noir has a very good Twi'lek. Topher Bousquet out of New York does a really good Twi'lek as well.
Love them both.
Yeah. Um, and anybody who I can't think of. I can't think of who I wouldn't name them anyway if I did enjoy their work. So I don't know why I'm trying to think of who it was. Just the messiness of me. It was coming out. So I have like that connection to it. But I gotta tell you, I don't give a fuck about the Mandalorian, and I'm happy if you do. Like I'm happy if you do. I know. I don't think that's why I waited. This is why I waited an hour to bring this to you. I want you to be happy. I want you to be happy. And you know what? Bless Pedro Pascal for all number of reasons. Grogu is adorable. It's just not compelling to me. It's just not.
The man.
I know. But it's like the whole bounty hunter thing. I like it in principle, but I don't know. It's just not. It's too hero's journey. I don't know. It's just not my vibe.
I love it though.
I'm so happy for you. I'm not
also
saying
read
I don't want it to
a lot
exist.
of Mando books when I was a teenager.
I want you to love it. I want you to love it.
I do love it. I do love it.
But
I'm
there's
a
something to
big
be said
fan of
about
the
saying
Mando lore.
you don't have to force it just because it was important to you at one point too. And so that's really where I sort of am. Like I feel that honestly, I feel that way about the Marvel movies. They started coming out at such a rapid pace where I'm like, I'm gonna be very choosy about which Marvel I take in because I don't want to have to pretend that I give a fuck about all these people.
That part, I don't even know the last Marvel movie that I watched or the last series.
I watched Agatha and I enjoyed Agatha because I wanted to watch the witches. That was important to me. I watched WandaVision.
Yeah.
Did I understand everything about WandaVision? No, but
no,
what I got,
I'm
I was
a
cool
Wanda
with it.
and Vision girly.
Yeah,
They are
I was
like
very happy with it.
my top couple in all of comic books. So tragic, so wonderful.
But also I get frustrated as well about studio meddling and about like the fact that you can't say mutant in WandaVision sort of pisses me off.
Yeah.
It's such a self-referential universe that because of corporations, the X-Men can't live with this. And I know we get a little fun of that with Deadpool, and that's great, but I don't want to work that hard for my accessing of media to make allowances for the fact that we can't actually talk about how Maximoff is this. I'm like, it just bothers me. It just bothers me. And I mean, and I'm an X-Men fan. The animated series was the Dark Phoenix saga. I wanted to be.
Didn't we all?
Oh God. I wanted to spend you know what it was though? I wanted to spend more time at the Hellfire Club. I'll tell you that right now.
Yes. Oh my God, wait, do you know that they do an X-Men convention in Minneapolis, and they do like a Hellfire gala. It's ran by this amazing queer couple. Um, they do it every single year. It's like this fully immersive thing where they hire people to like be the X-Men, like the resident X-Men there, and you're just immersed in it. And they do a
I love it.
Hellfire gala. I wanna perform so bad.
That sounds awesome. Well, again, that's also, I mean, then you get into the complications of that too, because that also is, problematic. If you've read the original Dark Phoenix comics, the Black Queen is she refers to Storm as a slave.
Yes.
There's a
Yeah.
there's a lot of era stuff that comes with that.
Yeah.
Because it's not uh it's a mishmash because that wouldn't have happened in Victorian times, but they're not dressed for the right era. It's a blend. It's a blend. You would never have worn bustiers on the outside of your attire, for one thing. Emma Frost notwithstanding. But I mean, I did love a lot of that, and I also love how in the animated series in the '90s they called it the Inner Circle because they couldn't say Hellfire. That would have been too much. The Inner Circle.
Too scandalous.
Yes. But yeah, I lived for that shit, and I don't know. I was okay with the films. I think I had problems with the adjustment to some of like they changed characterizations that I didn't love. I don't know. I feel Rogue should be Southern for one thing.
Which films? The original films or the
The
latest ones?
Is it Frasier? The X1, X2, the Patrick Stewart and Ian
Okay.
McKellen.
Yes. I didn't
And
mind
then
those either.
oh wait, no, I loved X2, and I was on board for how they were gonna adjust Dark Phoenix into like this split personality, although that's complicated and problematic as well. But this dissociative identity disorder that they gave Jean Grey for Dark Phoenix. Okay, sure, if you want, I
Like,
don't know,
cool.
we're taking this a little literally, but all right,
How
uh,
else would we have gotten it? The
just
normies.
magic. I don't know. I don't know. We seem to understand that Beast is blue and furry. Like I don't know. I think we would have been able to handle it. Um, and then it got off the rails. Like I remember watching Days of Future Past, and then I remember watching First Class, and then Days of Future. I don't even remember if I saw the last one. I don't know. It was just a lot
Was
to keep
that
up with.
Last Stand?
No, Last Stand was the third of the original 2000s trilogy.
Damn. I
Yeah.
don't know
That was
anything.
that was the one with the Dark Phoenix
Okay.
readjustment. Audience at home, I don't really give a fuck if you understand what we're talking about. We're having a moment right here. Um,
Their Apocalypse was the last one, right?
oh yes, then I did see that one. I did see
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah. That was the one with Oscar Isaac, and he looked like Ivan Ooze from Power Rangers. It's crazy. Yeah, I didn't like
Is
that
there
one.
is there any fandoms that you have said goodbye to, either because you saw them through new lenses, or you're saying, you know what, that was a different chapter. Let's not revisit.
Oh, question. Um, I don't think that there are fandoms that I've said goodbye to or I've like closed the door completely on, but there are definitely fandoms where um I don't go through the door as often, and one of them is definitely Star Wars.
Mhm.
Just for what we were just talking about, it's just a constant influx of things to watch. And like you said, I don't want to pretend to care about all of these characters. I don't want to have to follow shows and movies in order to get the whole of it all. So I've definitely been overwhelmed at slash disenchanted by Star Wars. Um, things that
Were you a
I
Harry Potter person?
Oh yeah, See, that one is so far out of my mind's eye that I don't even remember it. But yeah, I was a huge Harry Potter girly. My mom and
Rest in
I used
peace.
to go to the rip in peace. We used to go to the little Barnes and Noble, like book releases, like all the things.
Yeah.
But no more.
Yeah.
Um, I
I don't
wasn't
know.
really
Yeah.
I wasn't really a gaming girly, but I did get in. It's very funny that I watched Sandman uh, in the pandemic, and then I started reading Sandman, and then everything happened, and I was like, well,
I know.
cool.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with the Neil Gaiman saga, if you Google it, just do it slowly. There's a
Yes.
lot of shit out there. And none of it is fun.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I had in the work because as a paleface performer and I who paints his face, I was looking at other characters that I would, you know, could lean into
Yeah,
if I wanted to in that direction, and death was on the table. I wanted to do a death, and that is no longer on the table.
that's such a good
Partially,
character.
I know. Well, you know what it is that and I didn't know how to necessarily put it into words. Um, but I was watching Sibling Rivalry, which is a podcast that Monet Exchange and Bob the Drag
I love
Queen.
sibling rivalry.
And Bob was talking about a comedian who had a history of saying well, the N-word specifically, but also just sort of being counterculture for the sake of being counterculture in a very white woman experience.
Mm,
And how unfortunately that because when he learned that about them, it's the first thing they think of whenever they see their name now. And it just taints everything thereafter. And I was like, you
yeah,
know what? I get that. When I see or hear somebody and it's the first thing I think of, it doesn't mean I can't enjoy myself, but it got in the way. And
yeah,
until I'm able to go through and not have that, and I do that with personal things. Like there were musicians that I shared with friends, and I'm no longer cool with that friend. So now I don't want to listen to that musician right now because they're the first person I
yeah,
think of.
yeah,
Sometimes you got to get some separation. So right now, anything Neil Gaiman is the first thing I think of. Dresden Dolls, it's the first thing I think of.
yeah,
And it's a damn
yeah,
shame, actually. Well, a lot of stuff with Amanda has been fucked up, and I've met Amanda. I've worked with Brian. Like it's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. But I don't like it. I don't like that. That's the first thing I think of. So I need some space,
yeah,
and I don't need to create art while I'm trying to take space.
yeah, yes, that, and that is very hard because that bringing it back around to Nerdlesque, there are a lot of people who have very, very personal acts, and some people, their signature acts are wrapped in fandoms that you can't really engage anymore,
Mhm.
or in musical artists that you can't engage anymore. In fact, I recently reconnected with a performer who used to perform to a Kanye West song, and I told them, I was like, "Hey, um, maybe you should consider changing this." They were a white performer, and the it was Gold Digger. And I was like, maybe you should consider changing this due to the connotations of the song and also the fact that Kanye's not a great person. Um, and they were very receptive to that. And when I reconnected with them, I watched the same act with a different song, completely different vibe. Um, does not make me like break out in the heebie-jeebies. And I was like, this is wonderful. This is great. So and it makes me sad because you can't do that really if you are portraying death or like a one of Gaiman's characters, um or even a Harry Potter character. There's really no way to reclaim it because the core is so rotted.
Yeah.
um and yeah, and it sucks to have to reject people due to those things, but it's also like there is a certain self-awareness around that as well when you're kind of submitting those things to be consumed by a large audience.
Mhm.
In this day and age, why would you submit a Neil Gaiman act? Why would you submit a Harry Potter act or do a Harry Potter show in DC? um, so yeah, it's definitely it is something that kind of comes up a lot in Nerdlesque as we kind of reckon with um everything and
Well,
people.
it's other people's property that we are
Yeah.
absorbing, and so much of burlesque is using other people's words, using other people's music, and using other people's representation. Um, Even if it's not nerdlesque, even if it's just um the song or connotation that the wardrobe brings, because
Yeah.
sometimes that wardrobe, sorry, is not just a sorry, or um
That part.
if you're representing a oh, there was some chatter about they were Baby from the Devil's Rejects, and Baby happens to have a Confederate flag on,
Oh gosh.
and that's the type of accuracy I don't know if you need to strive for, like that kind of thing
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Um and I mean, and there's another thing is that there is no monolith. None of us are all going to agree. And the fact that we live in a world where people can still surprise us by going MAGA when we didn't expect that out of them, shows that, that we contain multitudes, and some of those multitudes suck. And so, for example, one of my questions right now is, as someone who is sort of a reluctant capitalist as well, and just wants to just sometimes just enjoy things that he enjoyed, the new Scream movie is complicated because they fired the lead actress because she spoke about Palestine.
Yep.
However, the movie before, they didn't hire Nev Campbell because they wouldn't give her the money that she was due. Now they have. Well, do I want to say, see, you should have paid women what they're worth, or do I want to say, see, this is why you shouldn't fire actors for talking about genocide? Well,
Yeah.
fuck, I don't know. And I don't. Yeah, that's complicated, and that's difficult. And it's also a drop in the bucket compared to everything else going on in the world. But
Yeah.
does it make me feel better in some
Yeah.
capacity as well? Because this franchise also means a lot to me. Uh, because I like the Scream universe, and even the films that have left me unfulfilled in certain areas have still scratched an itch in some capacity for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so and when you're working with other people and you're working with other people's media, like, you don't get to control what Nicki Minaj says on Twitter. You don't get to say,
Yep.
"Oh, well, we now have Danny Elfman." Like, okay,
Oh my gosh.
what do we do with that? Like, what do we do with that? And also, how rotted is that core? Because there's still people who don't fuck with Tim Burton because of something he said about what is it? Not finding black people necessary to his stories, something like
Yes,
that.
he definitely
Um,
said that.
and when that was in my head, see, that was that Bob the Drag Queen thing where I said it lives in your head. When I saw Beetlejuice in theaters, I noticed that the only black people in that whole movie were in a Soul Train context. And I
Yeah,
said to myself, well, gosh.
he
Also, we're
definitely.
still we're still doing the Asian laundryman trope. What are we
Yeah.
doing? It's
Oh,
2025 at that point. Like, what are we doing?
Tim Burton. Oh, Tim Burton's not going to change.
Yeah, I know.
That's a man that's not going to change. Um, yeah, no,
Yeah.
everything that you're saying Um, man, I will say that nothing like prepares you more for this shit than being a WWE fan.
Hmm.
Um, because
Break
that,
that down for me a little bit because I've seen some documentaries, but I don't necessarily know. That's
yeah, yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
at the current moment, Vince McMahon and Brock Lesnar are have sexual allegations against them.
Mhm.
Vince McMahon has been removed from WWE. However, he still has he's still around. Brock
Mhm.
Lesnar recently came back to WWE and started wrestling
Well,
in a
don't we have a McMahon in in the cabinet right now?
oh yes, yes. Linda McMahon is the Secretary of Education.
Oh
Is that what
God,
it is?
it's the stupidest
Um,
universe. We
and
live in the
and
stupidest
also
universe.
Triple H, the wrestler Triple H is somewhere in the uh the health and fitness of it all. So he's somewhere in there too. But outside of that, they are a shit company. They are a greedy capitalistic company. They are in bed with Saudi Arabia, in the worst way. Um, and as a fan, it is so hard to give your money into support, but also, like you said, it's like, damn, I want to like the things that I like. I want to give like the things that give me joy, but I also
Yeah.
don't want to feed this thing. So I have been watching wrestling less and less, and I've been watching the highlights elsewhere, like trying not to feed into WWE because it is hard right now. It is
Yeah.
very hard.
Well, there were a bunch of people that The Sims and their EA was being either acquired or there's some deal that's going on with the Kushners that had a lot of people step away from that because The Sims is a huge influencer microcosm as well, where they do a lot of video stuff and a lot of streaming and stuff like that. Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And I I don't like it when people weaponize other people being shitty about people who didn't necessarily know. This happens every single time somebody dies, where, oh, by the
Oh
way,
my
that person had
God.
something. Oh, by the way, there's something. I'm like, okay, can I have a second? Like, can I just have a
I
second?
hate that. I hate it so much. Again, one of those things where it's like the internet has robbed us of humanity because in person, are you gonna go up to somebody and be like, stop grieving, that person did this thing? Like,
Maybe we saw this with Charlie Kirk, so maybe.
oh, that's true.
But that's
That
the thing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, God, sorry.
that's true. Um, that's different. Yeah,
It is different. No, it absolutely is
that's
different. You're right.
different.
You're right. You're right. That was a cheap shot. Sorry, but it was the first thing that came to mind. But I didn't mean to what about. Sorry. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no, no, no,
yeah.
no, 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 that's
Yeah.
fine. But yeah, that is the thing that I don't like, just this like, well, I can't believe you didn't know this. How, what do you
Yeah.
mean you're not on the internet 24 hours
Mm.
a day, 7 days a week? So you don't know this thing that I know and everybody knows, except for not everybody knows. Um, yeah, I just think that we could all use a little lesson and I say this to myself too, because I've also been that reactionary person
Same.
that has done that. But I do think that we all could like stand to take a beat, take,
Yeah.
a few seconds to be like, hey, what does this give to me by posting this? How is this going to affect the relationship between me and this person by me
Yeah.
doing this?
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's as simple as that, and kind of having compassion and care for the person that you're interacting with, less so the person that they are grieving that or honoring that you happen not to fuck with.
And it's just interesting because what are we grieving really in some of these cases? In some of these cases, it's, oh, this person who was part of this media that was always part of my life is gone. It doesn't mean that media is gone. It doesn't mean that those memories are different, but it means that this constant in this world that keeps ripping away constants from me
Yeah.
is suddenly removed. And it's another feeling of hopelessness.
Yeah.
And to immediately counter that with, oh, well, that person's not worthy of being remembered. Okay, but what if we're not all as enlightened as you in that
That.
moment? And I'm sad that every single time now that I think of that I'm like, oh, right. Not that that person was ever going to come back in and do something else with
Yeah.
that media, or it's just a and this is going to be is going to get more and more complicated. I am not looking forward for a lot of reasons to the day, but of the 80s icons echelon, Madonna and Janet are the last, and there's going to be a
Yeah.
lot of discussion about when one or both of them die. And
Yep.
as a Madonna apologist, I'm gonna have to remove myself from a lot of discussion
Yeah.
when that comes up, because A, it's not my place, and B, when I say apologist, I'm being hyperbolic. Um, yes, she is mother, but my mother's disappointed me in a lot of ways. So,
T.
but we see this even with younger generation of icons, with folks like Beyonce and Gaga, who fail us in being verbal about injustice, fail us in and be and still are capitalistic monsters in a lot of different
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
I know Taylor Swift makes it really easy for us, but she makes it really easy for us. Gaga doesn't make it that easy for some of us.
Yeah.
And there are people who didn't fuck with Gaga out the gate because of viral photographs or blackfishing allegations or things like that, or working with R. Kelly. And so, that's complicated too. What does that mean for her legacy in terms of a queer icon? I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. And a lot of folks are going to have a lot of opinions who weren't there at a certain point. A lot of 20-year-olds are going to have a lot of opinions when Joni Mitchell dies.
Yeah.
And they should. But it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. And
It's
then,
gonna be some things.
yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
even now, like Jesse Jackson just died, and
Yeah.
we had Jesse Jackson, and then we had James Vanderbeek die within 2 days of each other.
Robert Duvall died somewhere in the middle there too. So he was another actor
Damn.
who passed. Yeah. He was older.
Um,
He at the very least was like in
okay.
his 80s. Yeah.
But like in those two people, like I've seen the discourse, and just
Oh yeah, yeah.
as you
Yeah.
said, I witnessed somebody post a thing about Vanderbeek, and then someone right under it be like, "Did you know?" Oh, you know, and I just again I have to ask why. Like, what do you get out of doing something like that?
I think we
Um,
know. I think sometimes we know what they get.
sometimes we do know. Sometimes we do know, Victor. Um, but it's still like a okay.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're gonna log off. Some of us don't, but at the end of the day, one of us is gonna log off and go to do other things.
Yeah. I don't it's yeah, because it is sort of it's such a weird variation on the I know you are, but what am I situation too. It's such a flex to know something like, see, I never liked this person. Well, great. I'm so like, congrats.
Cool.
I'm just glad you didn't have that disappointment to revel in. Um you're vindicated. You knew you had the
Yeah,
sight.
right.
You had the
Here
sight
it
years
is.
ago.
Gold star for
Um
you.
Like, did you not like them because of that, or did you not like them because they dress slutty? Like, which is it? Like, and that's the funny thing is having to watch folks like MAGA uh pretend that they're cool with Nicki Minaj is fascinating. The same way they have to pretend that Kid Rock is entertaining. It's like y'all like
Victor,
the
did
emperor
you
has
see
no clothes.
did you see the video of Kid Rock and RFK?
I saw moments of it and then I had to leave the internet. I know. I know.
I thought that that was a WWE promo.
I thought it was
It's
AI at first.
so bad.
Yeah. I
These
mean, it
are
also,
these
yeah.
yeah,
These are
I don't
these are people in charge. These are people in charge.
ah,
And to sort of watch like the respectability politics, because that's also what it is too. It's respectability politics when it comes to
absolutely.
saying don't like this person. And I think that there's also like, well, I don't have to like this person to be like, oh, they're dead. Um, but I think it also is I think it's a self-protection thing as well. It's a see if they're trash, then me feeling bad is validated because they were trash. And
Yeah,
therefore I know that that's why I feel bad. I feel bad because they're trash. And that's psychological. That's a deep issue that needs to be figured out, but I get it. But I get it.
yeah,
And to that end, that's why I kind of understand the gatekeeping in burlesque because I understand, and I've said this on the pod before. Thank you, regular listeners. I'm going to say it again. Um, One reason that we get so persnickety about, I'll say, minor infractions, nothing big, nothing abusive, nothing where somebody is hurt. But when we get cranky about how some person behaves who also is a burlesque performer, and we rattle on, is because the rest of the world is so out of our reach, out of our control that this is ours, so we want to protect it. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
that's why we get so oh, what's the word? Sort of not no nonsense. What's the word when you're zero tolerance? I get it. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it helps. And I think
No,
actually it hurts us. Um
I
and
agree.
again, but again, I'm also talking about like little shit. I'm not talking about like the big shit. The big shit, by all means, rattle on, folks. Rattle on. Um, because it is ours. There is no Reddit discussion about it. Or if there is, it's other burlesque people talking about it.
Yeah,
There's
that
no,
part.
yeah. There's no like, I don't know. Victor Devonne fan one complaining. Yeah. Gosh. Well, what else creates joy and light within you during these fucked up times?
Um, I love being in my home, Victor. I'm a homebody. So I love being with my cats. Um,
What kind of cat?
my I have three cats. I have one Sphinx. He's the baby. His name is Oberon. I have a Siamese or Siberian named Samwell. And then this big old, we don't know what he is, but he's a big old boy and his name's Daryl. And he's the oldest. He's 13.
Mm-hmm.
So I love being at home with them.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and I are big tabletop people, so we like to host tabletop nights and have friends
Nice.
over. Um, and I like to inline skate. That is my one thing that is like for me, I don't even take videos of myself doing it. It is just my personal thing that I do. I love to get out on the bay and just skate and see the people.
What makes it inline? I don't know that adjective for it. What
Oh,
is it?
it's rollerblades. So like the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are straight versus the quad skates, the ones that are like
Gotcha.
boop boop.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
It's a specific discipline as opposed to using the other one. Can you not go back and forth?
You can. There are some
Okay.
people who do. I suck at quad skates. Inline skating has always been more intuitive to me.
Okay.
So I like it more. A lot of people who do skate dancing like quad skating more, but for me, I am stronger when I do my skate dancing on inlines.
So when I see Barbie and Margot Robbie is skating in the pink blades, that's inline?
Those are inlines.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, those are Impalas, which are actually the worst brand of inline skate.
Oh, you're gonna
So if
ruin my sponsorship. Yeah, okay.
sorry. I'm
What
just
makes them
kidding.
inferior?
I'm just kidding. Impala, give me free stuff.
Exactly.
Uh, their quad skates are decent.
Okay.
I've heard that their quad skates are good beginner skates, but their inline skates are very much fine if you're just looking to be cute on in the rink. But if you're looking to trick, if you're looking to do like slalom skating, if you're looking to do road skating or anything
Mm.
like that, then you're gonna want to invest in a more custom build.
So they're more like novelty skates as opposed to
Pretty much, yeah.
gotcha. Well, I thank you for being so generous with your time and us gabbing and gossing all over the place. It's been a
Thank
delight getting to know
you.
you. I feel like we have been just ships circling in similar
Passing,
bays.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Um,
This has been great.
yeah, I would love to formally invite you to a side series of the pod, which is the music that made we, where we talk about 10 different songs that are part of
Yes,
your storyline and you walk me through them. So
yes.
cook on that. Think of your 10 because it's got to be 10.
Oh my God, that's so
I
hard,
It's the
Victor.
worst. It's the worst. But I gotta say, the series that inspired it is called Desert Island Discs, which is a slightly different criteria. Desert Island Discs is a BBC series where you bring 5 records that you would want to listen to in the desert. That's a different request. It's also
That is
only
a different.
5. But these are the songs that if you were to like how I usually interpret it, however you're open to do it, is this is the soundtrack that would come with your memoir. That
Okay.
you would make sense for that. That's how I would view it. Um and it's still only 10. I know, but we're young and
Ah,
spry. Allow us to
I have
sort
to
that
pick
out.
10 songs that aren't Fall Out Boy.
You can do one. And
But it's
whenever
so
I've done
hard.
about 60 of these, and invariably someone's like, and here are the songs that didn't make the list. So you can still talk about them, we just won't play them.
Okay. Yes,
um,
I would love to do that.
Thank you so much for being a part of this. Can you tell the folks at home the ways they can keep in touch with all of your goings on when you
Yeah,
wish to be perceived?
yes. I wish to be perceived never, but if you must, I am on Instagram at Maki Roll Official. I also have a Facebook. I don't really update it. It's Maki Roll's Chop Shop. And you can follow the International Nerdlesque Festival as well. We do a lot of that's where I do all of my producing things. So if you are into nerdy burlesque, and you are visiting DC or you live in DC, follow the Nerdlesque Fest.
Is there things on the horizon for 2026?
Yes, the Nerdlesque Festival is coming. Oh my God, you were like the first person to get
Woo!
this.
I get
New shit,
exclusive.
exclusive. The Nerdlesque Festival is coming back September 11th through 12th,
Yes.
at Dance Place in DC. So let's get very, very excited. We also have well, I guess at this point it will have already passed, but we have an upcoming show called the Comic Strip Showdown, and that will be happening March 14th
Nice.
at PubKey DC. And we just do a recurring kind of semi-monthly show just to keep the nerdy vibes going in the city.
Lovely. Thank you. Um, Before I let you go, Maki Roll, was that always the name? Was that your cosplay name first?
That was my cosplay name first, and
Yeah.
I just rolled it in the burlesque because I didn't know what else to do.
As a non-sushi eater, what is in a Maki Roll?
Um, it is it is just a type of sushi.
Okay.
Yeah, it is just the sushi and the rice and
Is
the
there a fish called Maki?
no,
Okay. All right. It's just what
no.
it's just the
Yeah.
the formula.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is. Like you will like if you look on the menus, there will be like a maki roll. In fact, many people would send that to me in the early days of my cosplay and burlesque. They'll be like, "Look, I found you on the menu." And it's like maki roll and it has like all the different rolls. So, yeah, it's just
Ah,
the way the sushi is made.
gotcha. So it can be actually a couple different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, I've never been a
Yeah.
fish person, so I've never had the pleasure. But and also, of course, we have the roll pun, which is a lot of fun for your D20 fans.
Yes. Um Well, sushi's not always fish. There's sweet potato
Oh, that's
rolls,
true. No shit.
and they're one of my faves.
All right. Now you've opened a world.
Look,
You've opened a world.
sweet potato roll. Get into it, babes.
You know, I've never been mad at a potato or a sweet potato, so I'm gonna do some investigating. You're gonna
Okay,
work on your 10, and we're
I'm
gonna
gonna
talk
work on
real
my 10,
soon.
and it's not all gonna be Fallout Boy.
All right. That's your assignment. Maki,
Okay,
it's been a
great.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for making time
Likewise.
for me, rambling and rolling with me on such a day. So thank you very, very much, folks at home. Thank you for listening. Follow, like, subscribe, do the things, comments, let me know what y'all are thinking. And if you have any fandoms that you would like represented in on stages, you know what? Make the art you want to see and then submit it to the Nerdlesque Festival, International Nerdlesque Festival.
Yes, please. Submissions are still going on until March 20th. Do it, nerds.
All right. Thank you, darling. Mwah.
Thank
Be
you.
well.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
WEBurlesque the podcast, created, developed, and edited by Viktor Devonne. Podcast artwork by Logan Laveau. WEBurlesque the podcast cover art photography by Atticus Stevenson. Theme song, On a 45 by This Way to the Egress, used with permission. All incidental music via Pixabay under the expectation of fair use. Please visit WeBurlesquePodcast.com for notes on this and every other episode. Follow WeBurlesque and Viktor Devonne on just about every platform, and support the podcast via patreon.com/WeBurlesque. Don't got the cash? Please follow, subscribe, and give 5 stars on every platform you can get your hands on. It really does help. All original material is owned by Viktor Devonne and White Elephant Burlesque Corporation. All other materials property of their respective copyright. No infringement, while likely, is intended. This episode, and all episodes thereafter, are in memory of Lucky Charming. Miss you, friend. And that's it.
Woohoo!